What is up, guys? I'm back with another video. Today I'm trying something new that I haven't tried before, but it's something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and now seems like the best time to do that. So putting content on YouTube is definitely a challenge. If you haven't seen my last video, definitely go check that out. That took hours of filming and editing, so I worked really hard on that. So that goes without saying that making videos is super tough, and I've decided to try to make a video every couple weeks or so. We'll see how that pans out, but that is the goal. And as I stated in the last video, I'm gonna be going to the CTN Expo, which is the Creative Talent Network Animation Expo. And in order to go on this trip, I do need to have some sort of portfolio, which is why I had gotten this. And it's just clear on the inside where I can put in prints of whatever art I end up doing. So I need about like 8 pieces, so it's kind of crunch time. I only have like about 3 months to get all this stuff done, and I only have one solid idea for my portfolio. So today is a sketch day because I'm struggling to find ideas, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's sketch session, so we're just gonna get right in it, and yeah, this is gonna be something new for me. All right, so I've been trying to sketch a lot more often because I really need to, not just out of necessity, but also because I need to get a lot better if I'm gonna be able to make comics like I want to. This is just an example page of things that I've sketched. This thing's a little copied, that's why the little copied thing there. I usually scroll through Pinterest and other things to see if I can get some inspiration, some ideas, without entirely copying. So when I do copy, I tend to mark it. So that's what that's for. But there were 2 sketches from this that I really did like, and I'll probably do another video on this later. And with this character design, I took it onto Procreate, onto my iPad, and I'm currently working on it. It's definitely a work in progress. I'm trying to get the values in there and everything. Definitely really messy with the brushes. I'm still trying to learn how to digitally paint, so that is definitely a process. But it is coming along, and that will be for a later video. So if you follow me on Instagram, I've been posting a few stories asking for ideas on things to sketch or things to talk about during this video. I only got a few responses. On one of them I was asked, is water wet? Thanks, Drex. There's a big debate about that, and I'm not gonna get into that because that's a very sensitive issue. So I basically got 3 responses of what I should draw. So my friend Cassie, she said, my cat, wearing sombrero, eating a taco. Definitely gonna do that. That is a great idea. I'm also gonna have to look up your cat because I'm not exactly sure what he or she looks like. Probably a she, I think. And the last 2 responses were a samurai duck, very interesting combination, and Spider-Man. So we're gonna try to see if we can't do these tonight. And this is new for me because I've never really like sketched while on camera, so this is kind of hard. I tried to draw in the last video that I made, but again, I didn't really know how to do the camera angles and everything, and so I set things up a lot better this time, and you live and you learn, so, you know. So to start off, I'm just gonna kind of warm up. I don't sketch super often, but I have learned that warming up is a very big deal, because if you don't warm up, you're not very loose, and you kind of have no idea what you're doing. So lately I've just been wanting to draw heads a lot. I kind of tend to draw similar heads a lot, but I'm trying to make them a little bit different. I took a head drawing class this last semester at college, and it was pretty good. Just kind of interesting to learn about how heads work and how to draw them better. Again, I'm still not super great at them yet, but I've definitely improved a lot, so that's a lot for me. Trying to find all the different proportions of the head, make sure they're all pretty much aligned so I can find the ear. And that's something that's interesting with drawing heads, is as long as you understand how the proportions of everything works, it just becomes a little bit easier to sketch something out really quickly. And again, these are more like I'm trying to find a style still, so they're not realistic per se, but I am trying to find some sort of style for myself to work off of. Yeah, definitely starting off with the first sketch is always a big deal because you're kind of reminded that you're like, oh, I can't draw. I remember now. This is what not being able to draw looks like. But we are getting somewhere, I think. Something I like about heads is that they can kind of be whatever shape you want them to be. Something that was interesting to me was learning how to just use shapes and try to turn them into either characters or head shapes. So that was kind of always interesting to me. It's kind of funny is you always end up drawing people that look like you, because that's kind of the thing you know best is yourself. You know how you look. So basically this is kind of a cartoonized version of myself, I guess. It's kind of how I see it. But yeah, the important thing is just to warm up, and I mean, sketches can be messy. I mean, you can clean them up, but sometimes it's just nice just to feel free. I mean, it's not going to be finalized drawing. Like, this is never going to be a final drawing that I'm going to use. So it's just nice to be able to just draw and not have to worry about it. That's something that a lot of artists might run into, is that you're trying to fill up your sketchbook with like the perfect drawings, and that's not going to happen unless you're super good, which is great. But yeah, definitely not always the case with everybody. All right, so kind of warming up a little bit more, just going to keep sketching for a bit. Also, something that I learned from one of my figure drawing teachers was he was always honest about using like these rigid lines to define the contours of the body, and that always frustrated me, and I definitely learned a little bit better in my advanced figure drawing class. I had a different professor, and I was able to learn a lot more about just feeling more relaxed, because in that class I felt so stressed all the time because it felt so technical, and that it just kind of took all the fun out of it. Something that I've learned is that that you can use circles. He was always against us using circles. Anytime I drew like a circle like that, he'd freak out and tell me no more circles. But yeah, that was really stressful for me. And this sketch is definitely not turning out how I thought. What's sometimes interesting about drawing though is like sometimes you can keep working the drawing, and sometimes you can kind of redeem yourself the more you draw, but then sometimes you can just keep digging a hole, which this might end up turning into a digging the hole kind of a drawing. And for those of you who may not know, this is called a kneaded eraser. You've probably had some in school or something. They're kind of fun to play with because they're kind of like putty. But the nice thing about these and why they're different than just your typical standard eraser is that this is basically kind of like a plastic material. I might be wrong on that. But this is pretty rough on paper. It can kind of ruin what we call the tooth of the paper, which is just the surface. So if you scratch into it, that's kind of where you get like when you would draw a lot and you'd erase it and try to draw over it, there'd be like these like ghost lines that'd be everywhere. That's typically because you're drawing too hard, and plus this eraser is really hard and it kind of ruins the tooth of paper and all sorts of stuff. But what's nice about this is that you're just able to erase stuff pretty softly as long as you draw pretty lightly, which sometimes I have a hard time drawing lightly. Usually you're supposed to kind of knead this a little bit, thus the kneaded eraser part. So you knead this around, and sometimes you'll be using it with charcoal drawings and things like that, which is pretty dirty to say the least. And so this will pick up a lot of that debris from the charcoal or graphite or whatever you're using. And so sometimes if you're using one side for too long, it'll get all dirty and gross. Like when you would erase with an eraser too long, it'll get really black lead on it, and then you'd have to go on the carpet or on your clothes or jeans or something and try to rub it off to clean it off. Kind of the same principle here, but instead of doing that, you just kind of knead it with your hands, and it reveals kind of like this newer, whiter stuff that is cleaner, so you can use it. So that's just a small little informational thing. I also failed to mention what pencil I'm using. So what I'm using is a color-erase pencil. It's a Prismacolor, and this is terracotta. I'm using this because I really like this one artist. Her name is Gel Arts, and she does a lot of art videos and watercolors and things, and she uses this exact pencil for a lot of her foundational sketches before she paints them, and I just like the way it looks, and I like the color a lot too. So whenever you start drawing something, construction lines are really important. That's what gives your drawing volume and perspective. So it's always an important thing to understand how things work. It's kind of like thinking about how to sculpt something, but you're thinking about it two-dimensionally. It's kind of crazy, but that's just how it is. And ironically, I kind of find sculpting sometimes easier than drawing. And quite honestly, I'm not really sure about these sketches tonight. I'm not sure if they're going to turn out that great, but that's the whole point about a sketchbook, is that they don't have to be great. I definitely would love to be able to showcase like my best work, but you know, it takes like 99 tries before you get the one piece of artwork that actually looks really good. But even then, when you finish drawing something, a few years later, or a few months or days even down the road, you'll realize, I didn't really like that. That wasn't as good as I thought it was. And that tends to happen to me a lot. And ironically, I felt like the drawings I did the other day were like way better than today's drawings. But hey, you know, sometimes you have good days and sometimes you don't. And of course, when I'm actually making a video about this, I feel kind of off. That's okay. All right, so I'm gonna quickly look up a photo of my friend Cassie's cat. And thank you so much, Cassie, for the idea. I'm not very good at drawing cats, so this will be interesting. Okay, so I have a little photo of your cat. And there you have it, a very poorly drawn cat. Sorry, Cassie, I feel like I did your cat injustice. He says, hello, I am Macho Cat. Another taco, please. Yeah, maybe I should stop. But no, we're gonna keep going through all these suggestions. I really do appreciate them. It's kind of a challenge for me because I feel like I can't draw tonight, but that's okay. We're gonna keep going. So next we have Samurai Duck. I'm Googling some images so I have some references. That's another thing, is always use references. A lot of people might say like, oh, drawing from imagination, etc., etc. That's something I guess that can happen. But what you're actually doing is you're drawing from memory. You're drawing things that you've seen in life and that you've experienced, and you are remembering them and putting together like puzzle pieces. So to use pictures is really important, and definitely you're going to want to do that in order to stay more accurate to what you're trying to draw, and sometimes even come up with different ideas using these references than you would just on your own. So you're basically building an archive of images in your mind. As you draw them and study images, you're able to create this sort of like reference book in your head that you can go through and be like, oh, like I think it'd be cool to combine these two things. So you can think of that object and the other object, and you can better think of how to combine them, and things just turn out better. Usually when people can sit down and draw something, it's because they've drawn it over and over and over again, and they've had a lot of practice, and they have studied how those things work, and that's why anatomy and other things are really important. Definitely not showing a lot of super great skill in this video, but definitely a side note to remember when you're trying to sketch. I kind of really like the idea of a samurai duck. I think that's really fun. I'm just having a weird night where I just feel like I can't really sketch super well. I know I've said that probably a million times by now. I've never drawn a samurai either, so this is kind of proving to be really hard for me. So this is where references really come in handy, because I'm actually looking at multiple photos right now, and it's really helpful for me to not be limited by just one image, but to be able to look around and be like, oh, well, that's how other helmets look, and I can figure it out. Now this sketch would be fun to kind of like play with some more. This is definitely going to be kind of like the first draft of it, but I might come back to this idea and try to render it out a little bit more, because I like it a lot, and I think it could be really cool. I know this is kind of more of a ninja thing, but I thought it'd be kind of interesting to try to put some sort of blades in his wings. That might be kind of fun. So instead of maybe having like a weapon on him and having hands, maybe his wings are his weapon. That's kind of an interesting idea. Or maybe he has like Maybe he has like a weapon wing and he has like a fist. I don't know. Maybe I should have done a few more drawings. Little tiny thumbnails is what they're called. Because I don't really know what I'm doing. I feel like I'm just kind of mashing a bunch of different stuff together. But I guess it's okay. Sketchbook is for fun. Doesn't have to be perfect. I have to keep reminding myself that, because it's definitely not what I thought I'd be able to draw tonight, but that's okay. That's the good thing about making videos, is that I can always try to make another video, and maybe some other night when I do a sketching session it'll turn out better. But I'm just happy to be doing something, because I just have not been drawing like I should be lately, and I'd really like to make some more videos, so that way those of you who are subscribed can actually enjoy some content from me, and not just every couple months or every 5 months I release something on YouTube. But hopefully you guys can enjoy a little bit more content from me. Or maybe there's an idea here. And this is what's fun about sketching, is that like ideas start coming more. That as you draw, you kind of start to think out some more ideas. So maybe I kind of always like the ducks in cartoons that have like those feathered fingers. I kind of always like that, but I don't know if I can really draw that, but it's just a sketch, so it's nothing super good. But yeah, so maybe he has arms, but his weapons are kind of like wing extensions that let him fly, which would be kind of fun. Kind of like that idea. That'd be sweet. And honestly, to whoever recommended me drawing a samurai duck, you know who you are. Thank you, because wow, this is something I'd never thought of drawing before. Yeah, and since I am kind of failing at drawing the anatomy super great, here's an opportunity to get to tell you guys about how important structure is. Because I might do an extra sketch of this. I might post on Instagram or something, so you should definitely go follow me on there. But it is important to have an outline of what you're doing, to understand the general shapes and everything, because this was just kind of me going on the fly and drawing one part and going down. Not always the best tactic, because you can definitely draw a lot better if you plan it out better. But I do like the fact that this is just a good idea sketch. It's nothing super great, but I can go in later and fully render this and make it better and make sure it actually has structure, and I can even redo a lot of different things that maybe I didn't like that turned out well. And that's the whole point of sketching, is the trial and error phase. Yeah, that was really fun. I like that. I'm gonna go back to this. And it's always a good idea, if you like something, you want to keep drawing it or trying to figure out. This was just my first drawing of a samurai duck, but I like to star them or maybe circle them, kind of like I did on this other drawing that I did. I will usually put little stars, and just to remind me that, hey, I like this sketch, maybe I should explore it some more. It could be a good idea. It could be something that you might want to do later. And this is definitely something that I want to do. Alright, so I'm going to scroll through Pinterest this time. I like to use Pinterest a lot. It definitely has a lot of plethora of ideas, and the whole saving thing to different boards is really cool. Definitely Pinterest used to be more of a thing that women would use to pin, wedding ideas and other such things like that. But for the art community, it's definitely turned into something that's just really great, because I have all sorts of boards filled up with great artwork, things that I can aspire to, and stuff like that. Okay, so we're going to be drawing Spider-Man. Again, it's kind of hard to try to look at references and not completely copy them, because that's what I'm kind of used to doing in school. Honestly, he's one of my favorite superheroes, so thank you for the suggestion. And Spider-Man is my favorite superhero, and so I'm super grateful for the suggestion to draw him. I have drawn him a few times before, but it's definitely tricky, because you definitely have to kind of know your anatomy, and obviously looking at my duck, it doesn't look like I know much anatomy, but I promise I've drawn better. Okay, ooh, I found a pose that I really liked. I'm going to try to draw things out a little bit more to kind of show you the idea. And this will definitely show you more of the importance of like structuring your drawings. You just lightly kind of sketch out the shapes. That's all drawing is you're just finding basic shapes to build off of. It's just like when you start building something out of like clay, you're like caking on clay in general parts, and it looks like a blob, but you have the blobs in the right spot. And so that's a really good important thing to start doing when you're sketching. And definitely, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but I know for a fact anybody can learn to draw. That's something that I've come to learn, is that as long as you have a passion and desire for it, like, you can totally do it. It's definitely gonna take some dedication, and I'm still not where I'd like to be with my art, but that's okay. That's what my art channel is for, is just to help other people that might be like me, trying to figure things out, to be able to draw better. I should not start drawing details right now. The important part is to not start doing details like I was doing. Alright, so we're probably just going to keep the upper body. I don't really want to mess with the legs right now. Although one leg worked, the other leg I'm still trying to figure out, and I just kind of want to start into it. So those of you who have watched this video up to this point, thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate the support. It is hard because I'm just starting this YouTube channel, and obviously I don't have a lot of followers at this point, and that's okay. But I think the important thing that I'm going to focus on is consistency. As long as I'm consistent with trying to make myself do videos and draw, how can you not succeed, right? In some way or another. But I'm so grateful for you guys that have subscribed. I have a total of 57 subscribers, and it's been pretty crazy. I posted my first video about a year ago, a little over a year ago, and yeah, from there my videos have been improving a little bit more, and I've been trying to find more of my style, and it's definitely been really fun to make YouTube videos. Something that I'm going to be working on here pretty soon is working on anatomy more. I definitely could use some improvement in drawing anatomy. I still kind of struggle with that. But I did just order this book through Amazon. It's George B. Bridgman, Constructive Anatomy. I've heard really good reviews on it through other YouTubers, and it's something I'm really looking into to try to improve my artwork. So as much as these videos are me sharing my artwork and stuff, it's also kind of like a journal for me, because it's kind of marking important parts in my development process in learning how to draw better. And the nice thing that I really like about like superhero suits is they kind of already follow the shape of the muscular system, and so that's kind of nice to kind of be able to use that to your advantage, because it does create a lot of like construction lines, just kind of helps you see volume and stuff like that. Alright guys, I think that's about it for me tonight. It's getting kind of late, and this is kind of about all I had time for. But thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for all the recommendations. They were definitely wonderful. He definitely is a fun character that I want to explore a little bit more. But yeah, definitely stay tuned for more. I have an upcoming video with this chick right here, and we're going to be rendering her out a little bit more and figuring out the colors, and maybe even doing more of a full body. This is probably one of my favorite things that I've drawn recently, and I'm really excited about it. So definitely stay tuned for that. And if you guys haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. It's just one click, it doesn't cost you anything, and you can stay up to date on all the videos that I'm going to be posting. Stay up to date on my Instagram stories. I'm going to be posting there for your recommendations, and I will definitely be drawing them like I did in this video. And again, thank you guys so much for the support, and we'll see you next time.